Alright, last video of the year on this channel. I've done a couple videos about the best and worst ball clubs, and one about the best players in various leagues around the world. For this one though, I wanted to talk about what the national teams of all the countries did in 2023. But instead of just giving the results of the various international tournaments held throughout the year, I thought it would be better to go country by country, listing each country's accomplishments, and not just for the national team, but whatever the country achieved in baseball this year. And since the final WBSC rankings were just released last week, what better way to do it than to take a walk through the rankings? We'll start at the bottom of the rankings and work our way up. So at first it'll go pretty quickly. Low-ranked countries are ranked low for a reason. For most of those countries, there's little or nothing at all to talk about. But as we go up the list, there's more and more achievements to mention. It was a great year for some countries. If we'd done a video like this a couple decades ago, there'd be almost nothing worth mentioning until we got to the top 20 or so. But nowadays, the medals, the standout players, the qualifying teams for certain tournaments, it all gets spread out a lot more. 80 countries in all, so we'd better get started now. Number 80, starting at the bottom of your screen there, Estonia. 78 is a tie between the Solomon Islands and Turkey. 76, a tie between Bolivia and Tanzania. Tanzania was third in the African qualifier for the Under-12 Baseball World Cup. 75, Fiji. 73 is a tie between Finland and Romania. Finland really got noticed by the baseball world because of Konsta Karika, the 22-year-old Finnish pitcher who was drafted by the Dubai Falcons in the first ever Baseball United draft. He pitched in the inaugural All-Star Series, throwing one scoreless, hitless inning, one walk, and one strikeout. 72 is Poland. 68, we have a four-way tie. One country there is Palau, the island nation with a population under 20,000, but they've ranked higher than 8 countries here, most of them with millions of people. Other countries tied for number 68, Nepal, India, and Afghanistan. All three of those countries competed at the West Asian Baseball Cup, held in late January and early February in Pakistan. India went 1-2 in their group, lost to Sri Lanka and Palestine, beat Nepal 15-0 to finish in 5th place. Nepal went 0-3 to place 6th. That 15-0 loss to India was actually their closest game. Afghanistan lost twice in group play, both by double digits, and they were last out of the 7 teams. 67, Norway. 65 is a tie, Ecuador and Bangladesh. Bangladesh also competed in the West Asian Baseball Cup, beat Afghanistan by 10, but lost to eventual champion Pakistan 16-0. They ended up in 4th place. 64 is the U.S. Virgin Islands, 4th place in the Caribbean Cup this year. Only 87,000 people on the islands. They've never been able to put together a really strong national team. Their pride has always been with individual players. A lot of former MLB players come from the Virgin Islands. None this year, though. The best they had was former Major League pitcher Jarrell Cotton. He pitched in NPB for the Oryx Buffaloes. But it didn't go well. 7 games, 18 innings, ERA over 5. 3 countries at 61, Slovenia, Kenya, and Belarus. Good year for Kenya. They were runner-up in the African qualifiers for the Under-18 and Under-12 World Cups. Number 60, Serbia. 59, Bahamas. That probably seems way too low to most of you. Bahamas are where Jazz Chisholm comes from, and we've seen a lot of big league players come from there over the years. But Bahamian players are eligible to play for Great Britain, so long as one of their parents was born in the Bahamas before 1973, when Bahamas were still a British colony. The parent is born a British citizen, so the son is eligible to play for Britain. But that'll be changing very soon. People born before 1973 stopped having kids a long time ago, and we'll soon see a lot of young Bahamian ball players that'll have no choice but to play for the Bahamian national team. 2 teams at 57, Bulgaria and Singapore. Singapore was last out of the 9 countries at the Asian Games. 56, the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory in the Pacific of just 55,000 people. 55, Ireland. 54, Costa Rica, up 5 spots. Costa Rica went 0-5 at the Under-23 Baseball World Cup Americas qualifier, to finish last out of the 11 teams there. Nothing to be ashamed of, though. The other 10 countries are all pretty well known for baseball. They were also third at a qualifier for the Central American and Caribbean Games. 53 is Guatemala. They placed 4th out of 5 teams at the qualifier for the Central American and Caribbean Games. 51 is a tie between Sri Lanka and Chile. Sri Lanka placed 3rd at the West Asian Cup early in the year. Then in the summer, they were 7th at the Under-15 Asian Baseball Championship. Chile was host of the 19th Pan American Games, so they automatically qualified. But they were overmatched, last out of the 8 teams. Good experience, though, going up against the baseball powers of the region. Number 50, El Salvador. They were last out of the 5 teams in the qualifier for the Central American and Caribbean Games, but since they were the host of the games, they qualified anyway. At the main event, they were of course last. The other 7 teams had some former MLB players and active players from LMB and Caribbean Winter Leagues. Number 49, Laos. In the preliminary round of the Asian Games, they were 1-1, losing to Thailand but beating Singapore, enough to qualify for the main tournament. No wins the rest of the way, 0-3 in the first stage, 0-3 in the losers stage, to finish 8th. Number 48, Uganda, first in the Under-18 and Under-12 Baseball World Cup African qualifiers. The biggest accomplishments for Uganda, though, are by the individual players. 17-year-old pitcher David Matoma played his first season in the Dominican Summer League, where he threw 16 2/3 scoreless innings. 20-year-old catcher Dennis Kasumba played in the MLB Draft League and the Baseball United All-Star Series. 2 other Ugandans played in the Rookie League of the Dodgers system. 47, Lithuania. Nothing to speak of for the national team this year. The pride of Lithuanian baseball, Dovydas Neverauskas, played independent ball in the Atlantic League last summer. 46, Palestine. Good year for their team. Runner-up in the West Asian Cup. 7th in the Asian Baseball Championship. Up 9 spots from last time. The second biggest climber in the rankings. 45, Honduras. 2nd in the qualifier for the Central American and Caribbean Games. 5th in the qualifier for the Pan Am Games. In Major League Baseball, Honduran Mauricio Dubon had the best season so far in his 5-year career. 132 games, 720 OPS, double-digit home runs for the first time. 44, Peru, 4th in the Pan American Games qualifier. 43, Slovakia, 7th in the Under-15 European Baseball Championship. 22-year-old Slovakian-born pitcher Adam Mako played his first full season at the high single-A level in the Blue Jays system, making 20 starts with over 100 strikeouts. 42, Thailand earned a trip to the Asian Games by beating Laos and Singapore. At the Asian Games, they were 7th out of the 8 teams. At the Asian Baseball Championship, they went 0-5 to finish last out of the 8 teams there. 41, New Zealand, runner-up in the Under-15 Oceania Championship. 12th place in the Under-12 Baseball World Cup. But it was overall a bad year for New Zealand baseball. Their only professional baseball team, the Auckland Tuatara, ceased to exist. Now we enter the top half of the rankings. Number 40, Hungary, last out of the 16 countries at the European Baseball Championship. Great that they were able to compete in the continent's top tier of competition, but now they'll have to re-qualify for the next edition. They also got a 6th place finish at the Under-15 European Championship. 39, Switzerland, strong finish at the European Championship, number 12 out of the 16 teams. And 17-year-old pitcher Dominik Scheffler became the first ever player developed in Switzerland to join a major league organization when he signed with the Cincinnati Reds this year. 38, Pakistan, the biggest climber in this ranking, 11 points higher than their previous ranking. Gold medal at the West Asian Cup with a win over Palestine in the championship game. 5th in the Asian Championship. 8th in the Under-15 Asian Championship. Great year for baseball in Pakistan. 37, Russia. They will continue to fall as they've been unable to compete for almost 2 years now. 36, Greece, placed 13th at the European Championship. 35, Ukraine, 14th at the European Championship. Got everyone's attention when they held an early lead for several innings over the Netherlands. 34, South Africa. Nothing for their national team this year. Individually, South African-born pitcher Taylor Scott played in his 3rd Major League season with 3 different teams. 33, Guam. Bad news is they had to cancel the season for Guam Major League due to bad field conditions. Good news is they were 1st in the Under-15 Oceania Championship, 2nd in the Under-23 Oceania Championship. 32, Hong Kong, up 5 places, 3 major tournaments, the Asian Games, the Asian Championship, and the Under-15 Asian Championship, number 6 in all 3 of them. 31, Argentina, runner-up at the qualifier for the Pan American Games, number 10 at the Under-23 World Cup qualifier. Number 30, Sweden, scored the biggest upset of all at the European Championships when they upset the Italian team, allowing them to qualify for the next round. They finished 8th overall out of the 16 teams. 29, Austria, a disappointing showing at the European Championship where they were 15th, but a decent showing at the Under-23 Championship, placing 7th. 28, the Philippines, up 4 places after strong finishes in 3 major tournaments, 4th at the Asian Championship, 5th at the Asian Games, and 5th at the Under-15 Asian Championship. 26 is a tie, Curacao and Croatia. Curacao placed 5th at the Central American and Caribbean Games, 2nd at the Caribbean Cup, and number 9 at the Under-23 World Cup qualifier. Of course, many of Curaçao's achievements have been with the Netherlands team, like competing with them in the WBC last March. But Curaçao will soon be taking a more independent route, so we can expect them to be a top 20 team in the near future. Croatia was 10th place at the European Championship, with 3 wins and 3 losses for the tournament. 25 Belgium, number 11 at the European Championship, a little disappointing considering their rank among European countries. They also placed 8th at the Under-23 European Championship. 24 China, a year of highs and lows for this country. At the WBC, they were 18th out of the 20 teams, lost all 4 games, and will have to re-qualify for the next edition. But at the Asian Games, they pulled off a big upset over Japan in the group stage and ended up placing 4th, also 4th at the Under-15 Asian Championship. 23 Brazil had to sit out the WBC after coming so close to qualifying for it last year, but they managed to win 4 out of 6 games at the Pan American Games to claim the silver medal. Also took home an 8th place finish at the Under-12 World Cup qualifier. 22 Spain. Just like Brazil, they narrowly missed qualifying for the WBC last year, but they made up for it by running away with the gold medal at the European Championship, a perfect 6-0 for the tournament, including an 11-2 win over Great Britain in the final. 21 France won the bronze at the Under-23 European Championship, 4th at the Under-15 European Championship, and as usual were in the top half at the European Championship, placing 7th. Number 20 Nicaragua made their debut at the World Baseball Classic, but were placed in the toughest pool of all, lost all 4 games and will have to re-qualify. Other than that, they were first in the qualifier for the Central American and Caribbean Games, and number 6 at the main tournament, and runner-up at the Under-23 World Cup qualifier. 19 Israel met expectations in 2023, 4th out of 5 teams in Pool D at the WBC to automatically qualify for the next edition. Then in the fall they were 6th at the European Championship. Number 18 Great Britain upset Colombia at the WBC and finished 4th to punch their ticket for the 2026 WBC. That would have been good enough, but on top of that they reached the final game of the European Championship, where they lost to Spain and got the silver medal. Then another silver medal at the Under-23 European Championship. 17 Germany, the highest ranked team not to play in the WBC this year. 4th place at both the European Championship and the Under-23 European Championship, 5th place at the Under-15 European Championship, and a top 10 finish at the Under-12 Baseball World Cup, placing 9th. The one born and raised German in Major League Baseball, Max Kepler, played in his 9th Major League season and bounced back after a few years of decline, with a career high in batting and a 4-year high in almost everything else. 16 Canada, 2-2 in Pool C of the WBC, didn't qualify for the next round, but they were 11th out of 20 overall, much better than their last WBC performance, 3rd in the qualifier for the Pan American Games. However, this ranking is a huge disappointment for them. They are the only team from the 2019 Premier 12 that will not be a part of next year's Premier 12. 15 The Czech Republic. At their WBC debut, they came from behind to beat China for 4th in Pool B to qualify for the 2026 tournament. 5th place at the European Championship, 3rd in the Under-15, 6th in the Under-23, top 10 finish at the Under-18 Baseball World Cup, placing 9th, and 10th in the Under-12 World Cup. 14 Italy reached the quarterfinals of the WBC, where they lost to eventual champion Japan, and they were placed 5th in the final standings, their best finish ever. Had a really good chance to qualify for the Premier 12, but that loss to Sweden in the European Championship and their 9th place finish ensured that they would not. Also, they were 2nd in the Under-15 and 5th in the Under-23 European Championships. 13 Colombia opened their WBC run with a win over Mexico, but then lost their next 3. They'll have to re-qualify next time. But everything was good the rest of the way. 1st at the qualifier for the Under-23 World Cup, and for the first time won gold at the Pan American Games. Now we've reached the top 12, and that means that these are the 12 teams that will participate in the Premier 12 next November. Number 12, Puerto Rico, at the WBC, beat the Dominican Republic and went 3-1 in Pool D to advance to the quarterfinals, where they lost by 1 run to Mexico. They took home bronze at the Caribbean Cup, 5th place at the Under-18 World Cup, 4th at the Under-23 qualifier, 5th at the Under-12 qualifier, and 7th at the Central American and Caribbean Games. Number 11, Australia had their best WBC ever, an upset over Korea, going 3-1 in Pool B to reach the next round for the first time, lost by just one run to Cuba in the quarterfinals. 10th place in the Under-18 World Cup, 11th in the Under-12 World Cup, and won the gold at the Under-23 Oceania Championship. Participated in the Asian Professional Baseball Championship, but placed last out of the 4 teams. Number 10, Panama, replaces Canada in the Premier 12. It'll be their first time appearing in this tournament. Part of a 5-way tie in Pool A of the WBC, but lost the tiebreaker and did not advance. 4th in the Pan American Games, 7th in the Under-18 World Cup, 8th in the Under-12 World Cup, 6th in the qualifier for the Under-23 World Cup. 9. Dominican Republic, a disappointing showing in the WBC, 3rd out of 5 teams in Pool D, and did not reach the quarterfinals. 4th at the Central American and Caribbean Games, 5th at the Pan American Games, 6th at the Under-12 World Cup, 8th at the Under-23 qualifier. But as I'm sure you know, the Dominican Republic is best known for the individual achievements of all the Dominican players in MLB, and this year was no different. They just wish it would carry over more to the national team's performance. Number 8, Cuba, reached the semifinals of the WBC, their best finish since the inaugural edition back in 2006, welcoming back several defectors to the national team for the first time ever. And they didn't stop there. Gold medal at the Caribbean Cup, silver at the Central American and Caribbean Games, 6th at the Pan American Games, 5th place at the Under-23 qualifier, 6th place at the Under-12 qualifier. Number 7, Netherlands. Unlike the last 2 WBCs, they did not make it out of pool play, despite winning 2 games. 6th at the Under-18 World Cup. For the most part, they were still the dominant country in Europe, with gold medals in the Under-23 and Under-15 European Championships. But at the European Championships, failed to win it for the first time in over a decade. Did not reach the final for the first time in over half a century. They placed 3rd. 6. Venezuela, played in the toughest pool at the WBC, but won all 4 of their games to advance to the quarterfinals, where they lost by 2 runs to USA. 3rd place at the Central American and Caribbean Games, 7th place at the Pan American Games, 3rd at the Under-12 World Cup, 11th at the Under-18 World Cup, 3rd at the Under-23 qualifier, and Venezuelan outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. was named MVP of the National League. Number 5, Taiwan. At 2-2, they were part of that 5-way tie in Pool A of the WBC, but they were the unlucky ones that will have to requalify. No problems the rest of the year, though. Gold medal at the Under-15 Asian Championship. At 4 other major tournaments, they won silver: the Asian Games, Asian Championship, Under-12 World Cup, Under-18 World Cup. 3rd in the Asian Professional Baseball Championship. And in 2023 opened the newest and largest baseball stadium on the island, the 40,000 capacity Taipei Dome, which was used for the Asian Championship. Number 4, Korea, a disappointing WBC. They won 2 games but finished 3rd in Pool B when they were supposed to be 2nd. They took home gold at the Asian Games, bronze at the Asian Championship and the Under-18 World Cup, 5th at the Under-12 World Cup, and were runner-up in the Asian Professional Baseball Championship. Korean infielder Ha-Sung Kim won his first gold glove as a major league player. Number 3, USA, made a return to the WBC final, but came up short this time, losing 3-2 in the championship game. Gold medal in the Under-12 World Cup, 4th place in the Under-18 World Cup. USA is of course home to Major League Baseball. Both Cy Young winners this year were American. Number 2, Mexico, an exciting run through the WBC, 3-1 in Pool C to finish first in that group. Reached the semifinals where they lost by walk-off in the 9th to Japan. Won the gold at the Central American and Caribbean Games, bronze at the Pan American Games, 7th at the Under-12 World Cup, 8th at the Under-18 World Cup, 7th at the Under-23 qualifier. And the number 1 team to end the year of 2023 is, no surprise, Japan. WBC champions in 2023, their 3rd title overall, first since 2009. They also won gold at the Under-18 World Cup, the Asian Championship, and the Asian Professional Baseball Championship. Bronze at the Asian Games. They maybe could have won that too, but they used a team of non-affiliated players, while the top 2 teams were using professional players. And they were 4th at the Under-12 World Cup. Japanese 2-way player Shohei Ohtani won the American League MVP for the 2nd time in the last 3 years, and then signed the largest contract in sports history. Japanese pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto signed the largest contract ever for a pitcher. A great year for baseball in Japan. And a great year for baseball in general. Plenty more to come in 2024. This will be the last one for this year on this channel. Still one more to go on the second channel. Hope you all had a good year. And until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya.